You're listening to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the hottest new podcast network and YouTube channel in the UK, featuring original series, top guests, expert analysts, and more. Check out facebook.com/AceCast Nation for news on latest guests and shows. Watch every show in full at youtube.com/ACE Podcast Nation.
I'm Ben Ellis, Cage Warriors Featherweight. Check out and subscribe to A.C.E Podcast Nation on YouTube for one of the best fight podcasts around, and the Danny Batten Fight Show every Wednesday for all MMA news.
Defending champion, welcome, Danny Batten!
Hey guys, I'm Sai and welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the home of the Danny Batten Fight Show. This is episode number 69, and tonight we're going to be talking the latest MMA and boxing news, plus, of course, a momentous UFC 260 from last night. As usual, you can get the video versions of this show and all the other shows we do at youtube.com/ACE Podcast Nation. Please do give us a subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You can get the audio versions at all the usual podcast platforms. Just search ACE Podcast Nation, and there's over 400 shows on various subjects featuring top guests, expert analysts, and more. So get involved, follow us on social media, and check out some of the various shows we do. But joining me tonight, standing in for the legend that is Danny Batten, is none other than professional MMA fighter. And as I said last week, some would say the better-looking Mearns brother.
It's true.
It is
it's true.
Mr. Richard Mearns. Welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me back.
Mate. No worries, mate. Thank you for standing in for Danny while he's in the US of A. But let's get bang into it, mate. Why not? This week we had Ben Askren and Jake Paul's press conference on the boxing side of things, which is kind of interesting. It was quite funny. I thought Ben Askren was really funny. He just was getting under his skin a lot. Like Jake Paul's, I find him quite irritating, but I understand that, people, he's got his fans, lots of them. One thing I just said to you off air, which really frustrates me about the YouTuber and the boxing thing, I'm not against it because they are bringing in pay-per-view buys. People are paying for it, so you've got to do it. I get that. As long as it's, as long as they're capable of doing it and it's not putting people in serious danger, as long as they're capable of it. And I think he's shown, both of the Paul brothers have shown that they've got a certain degree of boxing skill, that they're able to do it to a certain level, and also they can pay for the best training camps available, probably in some cases better than some professional fighters. So
they're always around like UFC stars, but they ain't paid their dues in the fight games to be there. You know what I mean? They're doing it through their name, which they're made of, making fun of Japanese people on YouTube. Yeah. So
it's one thing which frustrates me about it is we got Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo coming up, which is a fight I've been really looking forward to, waiting for years. It was kind of been on and off, rumored. It's finally on. That is one of the biggest possible fights you could put on, particularly for a British fighter outside of, the Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. This was kind of the next biggest British fight or British fighter fight you could put on, and barely anyone's talking about it because they're talking about Ben Askren versus Jake Paul, two people who are not boxers by trade. But it's going to be interesting. I just hope, for the sake of sanity and sport, that Ben Askren wins. I think he should win.
He has to do it for all of humanity. He has to.
Absolutely, man.
But it's you could see in the press conference, it's the first time that I'd seen them actually in the same room together. Jake Paul does have the size advantage, and I know he acts a prat. He's clearly not an idiot though, because he's making millions from being a prat. You know what I mean? So he's been smart about it. Like I think he's deluded when he's calling out Conor McGregor and that.
Yeah, of course he is.
Like he could he's got size on people like Conor and that, but just come on, man. Like you knock out one basketball player, and then you think you can start telling
that
Ben
baseball
Askren,
guy, wasn't it?
Ben Askren's an Olympian. Am I right? He was
wrestling
in the Olympics.
Olympic wrestler. Yeah, he's
So
pretty much won every wrestling award you could possibly win. Like he is proper competitor.
This is the concerning thing, right? So he's a true athlete. To get to the Olympics is a lifelong pursuit, and he's done it, and he's got his medal to prove it. And he's now it's a lifelong pursuit getting to the Olympics. You got through so much heartache and suffering to get to that goal, and there's some YouTube prat ridiculing him, and I'm like, you don't understand what kind of a level of a person you're dealing with.
And the level of commitment that is taken.
But they think he's weak just because he got knocked out. He got knocked out on the UFC. Like this guy's never been Jake's not been knocked out himself, right? But if you're going to be fighting on the UFC, you're going to know what it feels like. And the fact that he can ridicule him for being knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, who's incredible, and the guy, but yes, what's so dangerous about this is Ben Askren has the worst boxing.
Yes.
Period, right? But he's a world champion MMA fighter nonetheless because his wrestling pedigree is that good. He became a world champion in MMA through his wrestling pedigree, not his boxing pedigree. And here's the big problem we got. If Jake Paul wins this fight, then the majority of the public that don't watch MMA, they're going to see this YouTube twat knock him out, and they're going to be like, well, if he can do it, and it's because there's a real risk of this happening, that he knocks out an MMA world champion because they can't wrestle. But what I'm hoping is, I feel like the playing field is quite even in terms of boxing, right? But what Askren brings to the table is that he is really a fighter. Yes. So as in he can get hurt and keep moving forwards. But Jake Paul seems to be like some sort of spoiled brat. And so let's
how would he react to getting a big shot? How would he react to a broken nose?
Because he can knock out Ben Askren, no doubt about that. But can he go through deep water and really call himself a fighter? So Ben's got to do it because he's protecting the reputation of all these hardworking fighters around the world. But basically, Jake Paul was just pandering to his own disillusion and the deluded public that watch him. So this is why his fight is actually truly fascinating and I hate these kind of fights, but man, I'm tuning in to watch it because of what it means. Yeah. So it's genius at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. For me, one of my worries with regards to Ben Askren is that if he doesn't take the training camp seriously, if he writes it off as it's just a YouTuber,
and
he'll
it's
kind
easy to do that.
Yeah,
because I bet Jake Paul's training like an animal.
Oh God, he's got time, he's got money. He's
time and money. Time and money is
what
holds back so many of the greatest fighters, if you know what I mean. And he's got it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really standing in his way apart from his own stupidity. Of winning the fight.
It'll be interesting. If Ben Askren was to catch him with a big shot or a big flurry, and he was to end up with Jake Paul gets his nose broken or he gets bloodied up, that's when you see how will he react to that? Because some people, when they do get smashed up for the first time, they don't react well to it. They panic a bit, and there's a fascinating side to it. You mentioned Conor McGregor. For me, Conor McGregor showed enough against Floyd Mayweather from a boxing point of view, to me, that he would absolutely decimate Jake Paul in a boxing match. And I don't need, and it's not even worth talking about MMA in terms of Jake Paul or Logan Paul or any of these guys. There's a reason why Floyd Mayweather wouldn't fight MMA against Conor McGregor. There's a reason why none of these guys would go into the MMA side of things, because they'd get destroyed within 30 seconds.
But you can.
It's very boxing. You can hide behind not having giant gloves, wrestling, and they've got the big gloves. I agree with you. It's fascinating to see where it goes. I hope Ben Askren wins, and I think I said to you just before we started, I think if Ben Askren does win, well, then we'll probably see Ben Askren versus Logan Paul, unless when Logan Paul has his exhibition with Floyd, like unless Floyd completely embarrasses him. If that's the case, then he loses a bit of his luster in terms of having.
This fight can change the fight game for better or for worse, and we're seeing a lot of these ridiculous sort of exhibition fights, and there's like Fame MMA going on now where they get celebrities to fight each other.
I hate that. I really don't like Fame
MMA. If Drake has a MMA fight, he would sell more pay-per-views than Conor McGregor ever could dream, because people just like to see Drake either knock someone out or be knocked out, and it doesn't matter then about the art form. And this is the thing. Like, fighting is a very human thing, and we all love it. You see a fight on the playground at school, no one breaks it up. They all gather around and chant it. So fighting is for everyone. Everyone loves it. So I'm happy to watch anyone fight. But when we're talking about MMA, we're talking about artistry, and Fame MMA and these silly fights with the Paul brothers are taken away from the artistry a little bit. So yeah,
it'd be nice if they got put to bed now, really.
It needs to be done.
Onto the MMA side of things, it was announced that Darren Till has got a fight coming up, which I'm really interested by, because I think it's quite a tough fight for him. He's fighting on UFC Fight Night 188. He's in the main event against Marvin Vettori on April the 10th. That is quite a tough fight for me. Vittori's just coming off beating Jack Hermansson last year. Obviously, Darren Till, I think, has had a couple of fights called off as well. It's going to be super interesting because Vittori's no mug. And I think Darren Till, for me, is a top-level fighter, like he really is. But I think some people think that he's got something to prove. I don't. His last fight in the UFC was against Robert Whittaker. It was a 5-rounder, and that was lost his first bout at middleweight. But I'll be watching it with interest. Vittori fought Adesanya as well before, which is another
Vettori. I know Vettori, but I've not sat down and picked his fight apart. Like, is he prefer the striking or the grappling more?
I think off the top of my head, I believe he's more of a grappler. I think I'm gonna. He can do a bit of both, from what I can remember.
I feel like we'll get like a really good striking, a nice kickboxing matchup. But I don't see Darren Till taking it to the ground. He's got power in his hands. So we want to keep it on his feet. But I can't quite say what Vettori will want to do. So yeah, it's an interesting fight.
It is for sure. They're really well matched up as well, like height, weight. Darren Till's got like a half-inch weight reach advantage. He's 1 year older. They're both 6 foot. They're Darren Till's record's 18-3-1. Vittori's record 16-4-1. They're really quite well matched, and from that side of it,
has to deal with like another level of pressure because of like his superstardom. Do you know what I mean? He's just charismatic, and like he's as good as all the other fighters and all brilliant and that, but some of them just stand out more, and Till's one that stands out more. More eyes are always on him, even though he'll win, he'll lose, but he's always got more eyes on him and interested in his fights. And I imagine for that reason, he often deals with more pressure than his opponents.
Yeah, I think so.
Because after the Donald Cerrone win, they really tried to put him on, didn't they? And it was a lot of pressure quite early, I thought. And then the Masvidal.
Yeah, Vettori. Everywhere I've just looked, Vettori's down as a striker, like as his main sort of discipline, if you like.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a very, very interesting fight. I'm hoping, obviously, as a Welshman and a Brit, I'm hoping that Darren Till is brings it home. But some would say maybe a risky fight, but I suppose you got to take these big fights. There's no easy fights, is there?
Every fight's a risk.
There's no easy fights, is there at all?
Yeah.
So I've just looked on ESPN, and they've got him down as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. as his main discipline. So that's what I thought was that he was more grappling side. But then I
think
saw
we're
that
going
he
to
was
get
down
a
as
good
a strike.
I think we'll get a good kickboxing fight, you know, because if his strong point is his grappling, you're going to be sure that Till will be working his counter wrestling to keep the game in his court. So I feel like I can't call the fight, but I feel like we're going to get a nice kickboxing exchange.
Yeah, and Darren Till,
yeah.
he's predominantly a striker, he he's very good on the ground as well. So like, it's not like he's gonna, he would struggle if he gets in certain situations. Whereas, there's other fighters who are predominantly strikers who want to stay away from that sort of situation. I think Till is capable of wrestling and whatnot. Quickly on Tyron Woodley, which we'll talk about his fight in just a minute. His contract with the UFC is up. Dana White was not particularly positive about him having a new deal. Tyron Woodley put an Instagram post up, just said things were going really well until they weren't. He said his camp was good. He said he saw an opportunity for a knockout, got excited, paid the cost. Don't regret the aggression. It's what God created me for. And he said it was an honour to share the cage.
Yeah. I like Woodley a lot. I feel like he's the most unappreciated world champion ever. Do you know what I mean? Like he's held that world championship belt, and he just and then you start losing to some top level guys. But do you know what I mean? Like when you get the world title,
fight when he had the title. Who did he fight? Where he fought him twice? It was a Wonder Boy, and he fought him twice in a row, and they were like the most boring fights. They just killed any appreciation or momentum he had. But
he knew he was in there with a killer, and he had to play it that way, I think.
Yeah, I do as well. I think if he'd done what he had done previously in his other fights, he would have got knocked out. So he tried to adapt. But Dana White said yesterday, Tyron Woodley, 39 years old, he's lost 4 in a row, and he just sort of went, and didn't say anything else. So I think he's done. Be a good signing for Bellator, though. I think a big name. But let's get into UFC 260. So we're going to focus on the main card, but there's 2 fights I want to just touch on. We'll talk about Modestas' fight in a minute, which is obviously we'll talk about that in detail. But Khabib's cousin, Abu Bakar, I think is pronounced, versus Jared Gooden. It was 30-27 across the board, and I thought Nurmagomedov was supremely impressive. He dominated. He had Khabib in his corner, and I thought he just dominated from start to finish. And it was a good sort of a good way to increase his stock in within the UFC. He short of finishing the fight, there wasn't much more he could do. He just dominated the fight overall.
That's it.
Was there anything which stood out for you from it?
Well, it was a dominant performance from Abu Bakar. It's a hard name. Abu Bakar. And he's just outboxed him really. Like he was just holding the center of the cage, holding it and doing damage, right? And Jared Gooden, he just had his hands down. And there's no right and wrong in MMA. If you feel better fighting with your hands down, there can be advantages to it. But he had his hands down whilst moving backwards all the time, lots of foot movement, and he's spending lots of energy moving around and getting no return on the energy he's spending. So it was quite simple for Abu Bakar. Like I'd never seen him fight before, and I think, Khabib's cousin, gonna be a great wrestler. He goes out there round 1, boxes him nicely, and he doesn't have to change the game plan at all between rounds other than keep winning. And it was just like creep forward, box him up, creep forward, box him up. He was landing nice kicks as well. But he had proper form, was moving forwards and attacking. And Jared was doing lots of nice movement, but just moving away to try and not get hit. And he's not, it wasn't counter footwork. Do you know what I mean? He's just footworking away, and he's not delivering strikes back. And he's got his hands down, and that's why Nurmagomedov is just landing clean shots. Just clinical boxing done the job for him. It was an amazing performance.
100%. And then we also had, obviously, the reason why Danny is in the US of A. He was out there with Modestas Bukauskas, who lost via a split decision to Michelle Oleksiejczuk. I think that's how you pronounce it, but we'll call him Michelle or Mikhail. I thought it was a really good fight.
Really
I thought Modestas won.
Really great fight.
I really thought Modestas won, and I know some people might feel that, you're going to say that or you're biased, but I genuinely thought Modestas won the fight. But he can hold his head high. It was a split decision. When it goes to the judges, it's in the judges' hands.
Yeah.
But I thought overall Modestas corrected a few little errors from the Jimmy Crute fight. I thought he showed he had a great chin again. He showed that he has got a good gas tank, and for a big guy, his footwork is real top level. And I thought he was really good from fighting out of reach. Mikhail was trying to pour on the pressure constantly, but Modestas was getting off the cleaner shots, the better shots, the more significant strikes throughout the fight. The one thing I think I would have liked maybe to see from Modestas a bit was to use his superior wrestling skills, because I feel like that could have been the difference from the judges' point of view.
It was close, and when it's close, one takedown is very significant. But I thought it was a brilliant fight. I was on the edge of my seat. I loved it. And so what I said about Gooden before, Mo, he needs to learn from Mo. Mo was moving around on the outside a lot, landing strikes. Do you know what I mean? Landing kicks, landing clean jab crosses. It was brilliant. And then I really struggle with the other guy's name. Oleksiejczuk.
Just call him Mikhail.
I just called him Olek for short. But it was close. He was just creeping forward and holding the center of the cage. But it was an even battle. It was round 1, which Mo rocks him. Yeah, that was good to see. Spinning attacks, you always get a nice variety of strikes from Modestas. That's why he's exciting. You don't see many heavyweights throwing reverse back kicks and hook kicks like that.
Yeah.
So that's why Mo's such an exciting fighter. And it's gutting that he didn't get the W, but I really think with that kind of performance, it is only a step forward. It's people, more eyes on him. You know Dana White is going to be pleased, regardless of the decision. Dana White is going to be like, "You're the man." That's some good stuff there. We want more of that on the UFC. So I feel for you, Mo. It's gutting not having your hand raised and coming home and saying yes, I won. But man, he still won. Doesn't matter. It's well, I was going to say something else, but then it cut out a bit there. Coming back from the Crutes fight, he just showed it all. Round 3 when he ate that body shot, and Olek, he didn't even notice. Do you know what I mean? Because of how composed Mo was, it was super exciting. So I hope he's not. Bugged about the score, because the score doesn't actually matter. The performance was incredible. That's really all that matters. So, the truth will be that it was a sick fight.
Absolutely. And I mean, the one thing which stood out for me with that body shot in the last round was it was a big shot, and it clearly hurt Modestas, but he kept his composure. He circled around and sort of stayed with out of reach. And me and Danny have talked a lot about fight IQ on the show, many shows, and being able to adapt and react to situations in a split second, whether offensively or defensively. And ultimately, when Modestas took that big body shot, Modestas reacted quickly, and Mikhail didn't. He didn't notice it, and he didn't capitalize on it, because
it was smart.
It was such a good shot to the ribs. It was like a liver shot, wasn't it?
He backpedaled a bit to get out of range to a slightly safer zone. But often, when people eat a shot like that, they always got to move out of range. But what happens is when they move out of range, the opponent realizes, they're hurt. That's why they're doing it. But he disguised it really nicely. He stepped out of range so he wasn't taking any more damage. But Oleg didn't really notice what damage that body shot done. So it was great.
Yeah, and I feel like if he had noticed, he could have really followed it up with some big shots.
Yeah.
That was his chance. I thought Modestas had a couple of really nice head kicks as well, and I thought he used like the sort of front kick, teep kick, quite well as well, intermittently throughout the fight.
End of round 2 really stands out for me.
Yeah, and
the sequence of events after that up elbow, that was really flashy. Like, it's just
really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you could tell by the commentators like Cormier and Joe Rogan really enjoyed the fight, and you could tell they were quite impressed with some of the adaptations that Modestas had made from the Jimmy Crute fight, which is always a good indicator as well. Yeah. Yes, he didn't get the win. Hopefully he's not too disappointed, because I think he'll be keen. If he hasn't got any injuries, he'll be keen to get back in there relatively quick, I think, to put the win column bright.
He shouldn't be disappointed, because kind of like what the judges say is that in a great fight, basically that's something outside of his control. So I hope he's not doesn't get too down about it, and he's just got to tell himself, mate, that's great, and it's only up. You know, he needs to go into his next fight with that victory energy behind it, because that's what it is. Yeah,
just got to take that mentality in with him, hasn't he? So the first fight on the main card was Jamie Mullarkey versus Karma Worthy. Two pretty hyped fighters in terms of their reputations and stuff. And I got to say, I thought Jamie Mullarkey was really impressive. It wasn't a very long fight, but a couple of minutes or so. But like, Jamie Mullarkey put Karma Worthy to sleep. It was really weird the way he went down as well. And I was thinking when I watched it, I've never seen someone, or I can't remember the last time I've seen someone when they've got caught, like fall down forwards like that. And then I think
he just folded forwards, didn't he?
Yeah, it was weird. His legs just, like his nervous system or whatever, his legs just hit him right on the button, and his legs just went from him. Yeah. But they're those knockouts, aren't they? Which, as a fighter coming into the UFC, when you get those knockouts, they're the ones that get you attention. And Karma Worthy has had his fair share of knockouts being given them. So, you know, Jamie Mullarkey will be very pleased. Anything you sort of noticed about this one?
No, you know what? It was over really quick. I'd not actually seen either of these guys fight before. So I got notes, and it's just like, is this a mean lead left hook? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was great, and there's not a lot to say about it. I would critique it more, but I don't actually know the fighters. So other than that, I think it was an awesome knockout.
Like, Jamie Mullarkey's got a bit of hype behind him, and Karma Worthy was on I can't remember what his streak was, 3 or 4 fights of knocking people out quite comfortably, and then I think he lost his last fight, and then this one has not gone the way he would have planned. But ultimately, it's fighting, and when you get hit on that button, your body does what it does, and like,
saying he's a worthy opponent.
But like, that was terrible, mate. Come on.
I thought it was good.
Than that.
Okay, cool.
You're better than that. Come on. No, the Jamie Mullarkey, like, ultimately, I just think from Karma Worthy's point of view, he shouldn't be too downhearted about that. Like, even if he, you know, even if you could take a punch, sometimes, even if you've got a good chin, like, sometimes you just get one where your body goes, and his legs went from him, so it was kind of one of them. Next up was Miranda Maverick versus Gillian Robertson. Robertson drank 15, but Maverick picked up the win, unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. This is the one fight I haven't seen on the main card, so I'll rely on you a little bit for this one. I'm going to put it on the screen now, just so I can have a quick look.
It's a great fight. So round 1 was pretty much just like all kickboxing exchange, and I've not seen much of Robertson's striking, because she's when it goes to ground, she's levels above all of her opponents. So I was super excited for this fight because I'm a big fan of Robertson. I just love the jiu-jitsu, you know. And it was kickboxing fight. I can't really say too much on round 1, like as to because it was even. Do you know what I mean? They were both striking well, and I thought Gillian's kickboxing looked really good, and she had displayed a lot of that. So I'd say round 1 just goes to Miranda, and then in round 2, Gillian takes it to one of the judges. Right, round 2 was dominant for Gillian, and one of the judges scored it against her, which is some very dodgy judging going on. But anyway, so round 2, classic Gillian. She in one of the striking exchanges takes Miranda's back. She's got a gable grip along the waist. She pulls her down to ground, so sits her down onto like butterfly hooks, and then from the back take, it's a beautiful round to watch. There's so many great transitions because Miranda is a world-class grappler as well. So Gillian's constantly, when it goes to ground, Gillian is constantly on the attack, and she's moving, transitioning, and there's so much going on because Miranda is constantly trying to elevate the hips and that, and she keeps Gillian working, but like basically for this round, Gillian mauls her, and she gets the back, and she's got like a choke attempt. It wasn't close, but the attempt was there. So it was just dominant grappling from Gillian. Now round 3 is interesting. Round 3 was exactly pretty much the same, but the other way around. So what happens in round 3 is Miranda takes Gillian's back and then takes her to school on the ground in round 3. So it's a really exciting fight. It was brilliant. And a good decision victory for Miranda. And it was just a great fight from both. I just found it quite interesting how I was thinking, like, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, Gillian needs to get this to ground. Miranda needs to keep it on the feet. But what Miranda did was she did exactly what Gillian did in round 2. Gillian. It was a good fight. Really good.
I just put it on my screen now just to have a quick look at it, and some of the grappling exchanges between the two and the latter 2 rounds looks very good. Exceptional. Yeah, like really good. Very good. Some proper high class jiu-jitsu and stuff. So I might watch that one back in full a bit later.
It's good.
Next was my favorite fight of the night, just simply because I really, really enjoy watching this gentleman, Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. What a fight! Sean O'Malley is a special talent, mate.
Yep, really special.
I thought it was quite like it was a good fight, but I thought O'Malley was relatively dominant all the way through, and it finished with Sean O'Malley winning in the 3rd round, 3 minutes 52 of the 3rd round via a KO. Like, am I being a bit biased because I'm a big Sean O'Malley fan, or was he as impressive as I think?
No, it's fully impressive. Like, he looked levels above Almeida, like levels above him. It kind of looked like Almeida's. It's strange because Almeida, like, there was a time where he was the next big thing, and he's
highly rated.
That's it, and he's just sort of, but a lot of that hype is just gone from him after a few losses, isn't it? And O'Malley's had just the one loss, but O'Malley, I honestly think is genius, and I think you see it in his striking. There's like there's something really genius about him, and it's hard to explain. But I'll give you a few points in what I see. But he knows he's got to be a showman to win the fight. So round 1 was wicked. Like, so Almeida showed such great heart because he was nearly out of it in round 1, and then I totally get what O'Malley did. Like, it's so much more impressive to one punch him and get that walk off KO. Like, to be honest, that's more money in the bank. Do you know what I mean? That's highlight reel stuff. And he thought I could get that right now, but and it was actually a great call by the judge, the referee. So the referee could have stopped it at that point, but as O'Malley didn't follow up, and Almeida was quick to recover. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was good, and it was just another element of drama to the fight. But so Almeida looked good, he was just hanging in there really. See what notes I got for round 2. So yeah, Almeida's just keeping it clinical, but O'Malley's just doing loads of stance switching, constantly changing it up. And when I watch O'Malley fight, he feels like in no way is he limited in his body. Like, he can express whatever movement he wants to express. Whereas whenever you watch other fighters, you'll be like, oh, the footwork's a little bit stiff. Some fighters are actually too muscular, where the muscular physique will limit them. But with O'Malley, he's like a bean sprout. He's really skinny but packs power, so he can move in so many unorthodox ways. So for him, being skinny and humongous in the weight division is his true advantage. But you must have noticed, and this is how O'Malley's got a few of his knockouts before. He does this quick look away. You watch when he looks away and then delivers cross, and he knocks him clean out with that cross, with this little look away. And this, what I mean when I say, I was saying this to my friend, I honestly think that O'Malley is slightly telepathic in terms of when he fights. He somehow, with just subtle cues and fakes and that, he actually gets into his opponent's mind. And what he does this trick where he looks away really quick. And you've seen him knock someone out with this before. I don't know who it was. This was on the Contender Series. He looks away, and the guy freezes like a deer in the headlights. Then he delivers the cross. It's such a subtle thing he does, the look away. And he done it a lot of times in that fight. He'll do a look away, deliver the cross. And that little head movement he does, it freezes them. It's really clever. Really clever.
Yeah.
But he does it so quick that a lot of people don't notice what he's doing. And that huge bomb from ground and pound to finish was savage. Yeah, it was a great fight. I'm a huge O'Malley fan, massive fan.
I just like his creativity, and like his striking is so fluid. One of the things which I just never am failed to be impressed by is how quick his footwork is. There was a couple of times where O'Malley had kind of circled him around, so he was almost against the fence. And he just did like a little feint to the left and then skipped out to the right, and he was gone. Yeah. And he was out of that, what could have been, not a massively tricky position, but not where he wanted to be. So he was out of there as quick as you like. A couple of nice spin kicks. There was one in the first round, which was really good. But his striking so fluid. In the second round, Almeida did get him down briefly he got him with a really stiff leg kick, but he just couldn't get hold of him, couldn't do anything with him. And O'Malley just looks so relaxed, and he at all points looks just like loose and I think like fluid and creative.
That's why he's so quick as well.
Yeah,
tension in his body.
Who would you like to see O'Malley fight next?
See, I'm trying to think. I've got a fight I'd like him to see in the featherweight division, because I think he could fight them. Like, I'm talking super fight here. I'd love to see him fight Zabit.
That would be a good one.
Mary Sharapov. That. I just watching them two. They're very similar, but Zabit's featherweight, isn't it, and O'Malley's bantamweight. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's a fight that couldn't happen. Here's the thing, right? O'Malley's such a superstar. Is it about getting that belt round his waist, or is it about having the super fights? Do you know what I mean? Because being the UFC world champion doesn't mean you're the biggest draw, if you know what I mean. And sometimes being the UFC champion isn't actually the best deal you can get. I mean, like, look at Conor McGregor. Do you know what I mean? I know what you mean. Successfully defended a belt. But it's so, I want to. It's a dream fight is to see him fight Zabit.
So Sean O'Malley's not even in the rankings. Is he? He is bantamweight, isn't he? Sean O'Malley's bantamweight.
He's bantamweight. Yeah, he won't. Yeah, so he won't be in the featherweight rankings. But he's a very big bantamweight. What? No way.
He's not in the top 15. No, that's what I thought.
Okay. Maybe it's the caliber of opponents he fought.
Yeah. So if we take out the super fight with Zabit, like, I was thinking someone up in the top 10, but if he's not in the rankings, it's almost like they might give him someone a bit lower down.
He's a cash cow.
I wouldn't mind seeing him against like a Jimmy Rivera or something like that, or a Mirab Dishvali. That would be like quite a good mix-up of styles.
You don't want to see him fight a wrestler, because we want.
No, the fight I want to see, I gotta say, the fight I want to see personally, I'd like to see Cody Garbrandt versus Sean O'Malley, and I know that they probably won't do that because O'Malley's not in the rankings and Garbrandt's ranked 4, but that's the fight I would like to see.
That would be good. Makes sense, I think.
But yes, Sean O'Malley with an impressive victory. And yeah, you're right. The finishing shot was brutal. He did say afterwards, one of the journalists asked him in the post press conference scrum, they asked him, was the shot after the referee stopped it necessary? And O'Malley basically said, probably not. But
well, yeah, think about it. Like in round 1, O'Malley was over, like could have stopped it in round 1, and he chose to try and get the walk-off KO. So like with that last shot, you know, after what happened in round 1, he's like, no, I got to get the job done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
just
like,
to make sure.
Yeah, so it kind of like, I can't blame him for that.
Yeah, I think so. And like I just watched it again. Like Almeida's finished before that shot. Like he's already down, but the referee is not stepping in. He's not stopping it. He's got to do that. He's got it. Yeah. Like, is it unnecessary from a like? Should the referee have stopped it? Yeah, probably.
What happens in round 1 to me proves that it was necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because the referee's there for a reason.
If he hasn't done that, you're in the 3rd round as well, by the way. So if he hasn't have hit that shot, which ultimately finished it, then that referee was going to let it go, and then it goes to the judge's scorecard, and then it's out of your hands. So he has to finish it for me. He has to go and do that shot. He used a brutal knockout. Next up was Tyron Woodley, who was already on a 3-fight losing streak, fighting Vincent Luque. Oh, Jesus. What did you make of this one, mate? Because I thought it was a very, very enjoyable fight to watch.
Yes, but it started off really well.
Bit of a sad way for Tyron to finish his UFC career.
I can see how the finish come about. So Tyron was really feeling his power hand, the backhand. He felt it, and it felt strong. He throws it immediately and gets double unders from there. So from throwing it, he gets a strong position off the bat. So he was basically, there's a lot to say about it, but Tyron was being over aggressive. It was working, but the things about being too aggressive, you do get countered. So he keeps throwing that right hand because it was good. It was a deadly right hand. It makes sense to keep throwing it because all you got to do is land it right. But he gets countered by Luque's cross. Do you know what I mean? And because he's so committed to landing his right hand, he just got countered. It kind of got a little bit readable. He weren't setting up that power hand. So when he come out, it seemed like the right thing to do. A big overhand to double unders. That's classic wrestling, right? And I think he just was enjoying that power hand too much. Like he wasn't using his jab. He wasn't using much head movement. But if he landed that right hand, that could have been the win. But of course, if your opponent isn't giving you much variety of techniques, then it can be quite easy to look for the counter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that was it. So Vincent had felt that right hand a few times, and then in his head, he got a plan to stop it.
Like, obviously, we discussed what Tyron Woodley said afterwards about he went for the finish and he was aggressive and he got caught. Like,
it's crazy.
Is it a mistake?
Out on his feet, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is it a mistake? Did he make a mistake, Richard, or did he just get caught by a superior grappler?
He didn't make a. He got caught. Really, it was his opponent's. Like
there was a knee just before it, which wobbled him.
Yeah.
Before he puts the choke.
It was that cross that really, in my head, that sort of really put the sequence, like got him on, like he was out on his feet, effectively, and then, but he held it together really well. Like he was out on his feet for a long time. He was like, I didn't know what was standing him up, and it was incredible. It was like, how long was he standing on his feet for when after eating that shot? It was pretty. It was crazy. It was like proper drama. You knew he weren't going to make it, but so setting up.
She's like leaning against, literally leaning against the cage because he got rocked. But just
I don't think he made a huge mistake, but he could have done better.
Yeah, Tyron Woodley hits a massive right hand, like a massive one, which connects, and then just after that, then Luque hits him with that cross you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then for about 15, just under 15 seconds, he kind of leans against the cage, not doing a lot. And then he gets taken. As soon as he's down from that knee, he goes down, he gets the choke in, and he does look like he fights against it. Yeah. But I think the damage he took on his feet meant that he wasn't perhaps thinking as sharply as he would have been. And once it was in,
what I'd say the mistake is that he was banking, like Tyron was banking on landing the right hand, if you know what I mean.
And then when that didn't
look for much else.
Well, I would say with that,
when you watch O'Malley will tease it. He will tease the shot. He'll throw a bit of this, a bit of that, throw some panache, and then get that killer shot. He's not just, because most of the time O'Malley knocks people out with his right hand, but he's thrown a dozen smoke screens before that, and that's how he lands it. It's not, he doesn't just throw it, he tricks them first. There's no trickery with what Tyron does. It's just he's got an iron will to win. He's an incredible athlete. He's a strong wrestler. So yeah, that's
well, fully enough. If I had to give one criticism of Mo from last night, I'd say there was a couple of times where he tried to load up a bit too much with a couple of his shots. And actually, when he looked a bit more relaxed and was just going from distance and hitting those kicks and strikes, he looked a lot better. And I felt like in that moment, Tyron Woodley, I don't know whether he was getting a bit gassed or what it was, but because obviously it was a good fight, wasn't it? It was really back and forth. And when he goes for that big right hand, he puts everything into it. And it does connect, but Luque just eats it, and then obviously he hits the cross and the knee, and it's game over. Like, tell us, mate, like how hard is a choke like that? The way Luque's got that choke on, how hard is that to get out of? Even if you weren't out on your feet, like
once it's on, it's hard to get out of. It's because like with the chokes, right? With pretty much all chokes, once they are on, the escape is really, really tricky. It's like your opportunity to escape is in the transition, is as they're setting it up. And because Tyron Woodley it was a great idea to go for this choke because he's very much unconscious as Luque sets the choke up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he couldn't quite counter what was happening, and once it was wrapped up, there's no escaping it. So it's like you gotta, with submissions, it's as they set it up is your opportunity to escape. It's like the same with the arm bars. Once the arm bar's on, to get out of it, often you have to be freakishly strong. Okay, so it's like it's as the making all the adjustments to then put it on. So yeah, that's it.
Indeed, mate. I thought it was a lovely finish to a really exciting round of fighting. And then we're on to the main event, mate, of Francis Ngannou, the number one contender, versus Stipe Miocic, the champion for the heavyweight championship, mate. Yeah. We said last week that it was either going to be a Francis Ngannou KO or Stipe would win. I was surprised that we had the KO. Not surprised by that, but I was surprised that it came in the second round and not the first, basically.
Yeah.
But what did you make of this fight and the performance of both men?
It was great. Like, so, Ngannou, I've never thought his boxing was tidy before. I'd like to criticize him. It's slightly unfair, but like, oftentimes he's just swinging, and he's got that much power that once he connects, whatever else happened in the fight doesn't matter. But like, it's a world title fight, and it's a guy that's beaten him before. And his boxing was really clinical. So he come into the fight packing all this Ngannou power, but with precise clinical boxing behind it. And there's a few things that I want to talk about. One is Miocic at the very start of the fight, that handshake. It was a bit off to me, right? So the sport is all about respect, but that handshake was a little bit like, please don't kill me. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit over the top. And I know they fought before, but Miocic kind of showed him too much of his cards. So, and you can see, and of course, I think it's a horrible rematch for him to have because of like that godly power that he's got. It's insane. Like, and it's so he showed his fear with that handshake, and I didn't like that because yes, it's all about respect, but at the end of the day, the guy's there to take your health and take your money. You
Take
don't
your
have to
belt.
show them. Don't show them any respect until the fight's over. A touch of gloves is all that's needed, and it was too much, that handshake. I know it's a little thing, but actually it was a little thing that meant a lot, and you can see from the outcome of the fight.
Psychologically, yeah.
And then the other huge moment of the fight, and this was a huge moment, was the first takedown that Ngannou stuffed.
Yes.
Because we all knew that Miocic had to get it to the ground. So when he stuffed that first takedown, I imagine that's when the panic really settled in for Miocic. Like, even if like Miocic got that, if Miocic got the first takedown and it still made out of round 1,
Would have
into round
relaxed
2,
him.
into round 3, getting that first takedown is the morale boost he would have needed to sort of like perform better. But it was stopping that first takedown was huge, and then it just kind of like
he not only
Miocic's game fell apart a bit from there.
Yeah, he not only stopped. I don't know if it was the first takedown attempt. It might have been the second, but
Yeah.
one of them, he not only stopped the takedown and sprawled it, but he ended up getting on top of him on his back and beating the crap out of him.
Yes.
And I just thought psychologically that's got to have been massive.
Yes.
That not only
That
did
was
you
it.
get your main tool of how everyone assumed you were going to win,
Miocic lost it psychologically. It's true.
Took a couple of real big shots, and I got to say, like Ngannou, his all-round game just looks so much better. His boxing,
everything was
much
brilliant.
more technical. His takedown defense, everything just looks together.
The
I'd love to
grappling
know
we saw was
who he's been training with. I really would.
If he continues like that, we're going to see him ground and pounding people unconscious.
Yeah,
all of his
like,
fights are vicious knockouts on the ground, but you saw it when he took his back in that fight and started landing those shots. He was in a fight finishing position from a failed takedown. I think we're going to see him evolve, and he's the champion now. And there's going to be better coaching him around him, and it's super exciting actually.
If he, because you could imagine him doing what Khabib used to do, where he just take guys down, lay on top of them, and that just pummel the crap out of him. Except
his ground and pound will be.
Ngannou was like 6'5" or whatever he is. He's just going to eat people alive. And like from 2.5 minutes into the first round, I just couldn't see how Stipe was going to win the fight. Psychologically, I just thought he was gone. But I say that, and I really do believe that. But I also believe that Francis Ngannou deserves so much credit for going away. Like, he came into the UFC, destroyed all these guys, knocking people off their feet with his power. There was all this hype, and then he got stopped by a superior wrestler and someone who was a technical MMA, like a top high-level MMA fighter. So he went away. He could have just become another heavyweight who, every couple of years gets a title shot, but, just takes out heavyweight fights every year. But he went away and he improved his craft. He improved his wrestling defense. He improved his boxing technique, his striking technique. He improved his footwork massively. And I think he deserves so much credit for that, because he could have just become another, because he's got so much power. Yeah. And he's got age on his side. Like, he could have just become like another heavyweight and just, got the money, had taken some big fights, and then every now and again, I'll have a title fight because I'm on a 3-fight win streak. But he didn't. He went away to beat Stipe and to be the better fighter last night. Like, I just watching that ground and pound in that first round.
If he keeps continuing
brutal.
with the progress like that, he'll be unstoppable.
Well, John Jones is the one that everyone's talking about. John Jones, Francis Ngannou. For me,
that's the next.
John Jones does not want that fight next. John Jones,
not yet. John Jones is a smart man. But,
he needs to
John
fight
Jones is a bit older, isn't he?
Yeah. But like, John Jones needs to fight someone else at heavyweight first. He cannot go and fight Francis Ngannou.
People were talking about, when we talk about John Jones, we're talking about GOAT status, greatest of all time. And that is beyond weight classes. So, and because he very much is the GOAT. It's him or Khabib, really. I don't really like this GOAT debate much because there's so many variables to look at. But if we do have to pick one, it's either him or Khabib, right? And you could say it's more John Jones because of how many title defenses he's had.
Yeah.
So really, it is John Jones, okay? But because of that, I'm saying, like, I actually want to see the Ngannou fight now whilst he's at his most dangerous. I want to see it now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see it when the playing field changes at all, you know? So
that's
what I want to see.
I agree. And I think it'll be a real fascinating fight. Like, just before the finish of the fight, Ngannou nailed Stipe, and Stipe just looked like a deer in the headlights. He really looked rocked. Yeah. And I thought that was going to be it then. And then about 10 seconds later, he hits him.
Stipe showed he had, and he got knocked out. But he proved to the world he's got an incredible chin. Because, like, he's... like, well, to take one punch from that guy, he took punches. Like, every punch he thrown is a fight-ending punch from Ngannou. He's got an incredible chin on him, and it shouldn't be any knock to his confidence because something really special about Ngannou.
He got rocked, Stipe, by a left, and then Ngannou went straight in, sort of grabbed him by the back of the head, smashed him with 3 quick punches, like clean in the face, and then they kind of broke away, and then he knocks him out with the final punch. But like, it technically took like 5 punches, 2 massive ones, to finally, finish him. And look, Francis Ngannou, for me, compared to what he did, look like, say, 4 or 5 fights ago, looks like a whole different fighter. And if you watch, after he knocks him out with the left, and he just hits him with a hammer fist, mate. And I look at that hammer fist, and I just think, you could break his jaw with that, like just big, huge monster of a guy just coming down.
What's so scary about Ngannou is that he does always follow up when it goes to ground.
Yeah, he makes sure it's done.
They're always knocked out on their feet before they hit the floor, and often he gets 2-3 more punches in before the ref stops it. So, like, fighting Ngannou is without a doubt the scariest fight ever. Like, there's nothing.
He's not a slow heavyweight as well. Like heavyweights, sometimes they can be quite sluggish, can't they? But they've got power.
Quick. Yeah.
Like he's quick on his feet. He's quick on it.
This is why I want to see the John Jones fight now, because what John Jones is so good because he's always got amazing strategy, and this guy is so dangerous. So I want to see the strategy. I'm excited to see that. I want to see how John Jones figures out to beat him. So I want to see. Like,
I agree. I 100% agree.
Because it's like John Jones is a physical specimen, was the longest reach in UFC history. Like, that all played to his favor. And I used to put a lot of John Jones's wins down to, like, oh yeah, but he's just like a specimen. Like that. I used to say that, but actually now when I watch him, like, no, he's
tactically
he's got solid game plans for every opponent and takes them apart with his game plans. What his physical gifts are just something extra. So I want to see this fight because I want to see how John Jones figures it out, because he'll have a game plan and be excited to see that. But with Ngannou, one punch, that's all it takes.
So
super exciting.
This is how John Jones and Ngannou match up. John Jones 33, Ngannou's 34. John Jones has had 28 fights. Ngannou's had 19. John Jones has won 26. He's lost 1, which was overturned, and he had another no contest. So technically, he's unbeaten.
I think now is Ngannou to make that fight.
Ngannou's had 3 losses. Ngannou's had 12 knockouts, but John Jones has had 10. But Ngannou's also had 4 submissions to John Jones's 6. They're both 6'4". John Jones has got an 1.5 inch reach advantage, both orthodox. So they match up better than you'd think, because John Jones is coming up a weight. You kind of assume that Ngannou's going to like tower above him, like height wise. They're quite evenly matched. John Jones has got that long, rangy reach, but I agree with you. That's the fight to make. John Jones has got to put up or shut up for me in terms of heavyweight. Look, for me, John Jones is the GOAT. He is the greatest MMA fighter of all time. But if he's going to go into the heavyweight division, do it. Like, stop talking about it now and just do it. What I do think is, I just wonder whether they'll say, well, you can't just go straight for the title. Like, Dana White might sort of want him to have a fight first.
If they can let Conor do
and
it,
for me,
let John Jones do it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, and the problem is, like, the heavyweight division, John Jones takes all those guys apart for me. Maybe like, but then you put them up against a Derek Lewis, a Curtis Blades. These guys have got that power to knock people out. But like we just talked about, John Jones tactically is a special talent. Like, he's always got a way of beating people. I say, just do it. Francis Ngannou versus John Jones for the title. But I wonder if they might do Jones versus Stipe first, and then the winner gets Ngannou. Because obviously Stipe wants a rematch because they won all and do a trilogy. So I do think that's going to be an option, is John Jones versus Stipe. How do you see? Do you think John Jones would beat Stipe?
Yes.
I do too. I think he beats him pretty snugly as well, which is interesting because Stipe's been such a fantastic champion, fantastic fighter over the years. But we both, who watch a lot of MMA, we both said straight away, without much sort of consideration, that we think John Jones coming up a weight would beat Stipe. Interesting, isn't it? Real interesting set of stuff. So we're going to have a slightly shorter show this week, mate, which is that'd be nice. But before we do it, we're going to do our predictions for next week's UFC. So I'm just going to bring that up now. I'm sure there'll be some good fights. So is that the next event? There's not. So the next event is not until the 10th of April. So there's no UFC next week.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what, Rich, I'll get your predictions for the 10th of April one. So the main event is Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori.
Yep. Okay.
Who you got?
Right. I'm just going to go, I'm just say Darren Till, TKO. Because he's a fight finisher.
Yeah. And, the co-main event.
And I said earlier that it's going to be a kickboxing match. And Darren Till's going to TKO him. I don't think it's going to be any flush knockout. I think it'll overwhelm him. But yeah, tough one.
It's going to be a good fight. The co-main event is a good one. You got a friend of the show, Arnold Allen, who was a previous guest, versus Sadiq Yusuff in the co-main event. That is a fascinating fight. Sadiq Yusuff is 11-1. Arnold Allen 16-1. Arnold Allen on a bit of a tear. Pretty much the same height. Sadiq is an inch higher. Same weight, same reach. Oof. I'm going to go for the British double-header win with Darren Till and Arnold Allen picking up the victories. But who you got in Arnold Allen versus Sadiq Yusuff, mate?
Arnold Allen's going to win on decision, and Darren Till's going to win by TKO.
Yeah, big kill. Nice. I like it, mate. So that's us. We're done. But it's going to be really interesting stuff over the next coming weeks. We've got a week off next week. We'll be here, but there's no UFC next week. So we'll think of something special to do. But I know we've got some incredible guests coming up. And in particular, we've got one next week, a certain UFC fighter. I'm not going to announce it now just because, although it's been confirmed, I haven't spoken to him for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to wait. But all I can say is it's a UFC fighter who's never been on the show before. And he'll be on next week to join us for a chit chat. Until then, you can check out all our other shows at youtube.com/A.C.E Podcast Nation. Follow Richard Mearns on Instagram and Twitter. Not on Twitter, you just Instagram.
No, just Instagram, yeah.
Follow Richard on Instagram. He deserves more followers than his brother, just to annoy him.
Yeah, you can check out the Bear with Tudo shorts.
Absolutely. And
just joking.
get the audio version of all the other shows on all the podcast platforms. Follow us on social media. Ace Podcast Nation, the place to be. But Richard, have you got any fights lined up for yourself, mate?
I do actually. Got confirmed today, so yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Johnny Brocklesby on Almighty Fighting Championships, 7th of August. So yeah, exciting. I'm glad. Like, you know, I've been waiting. It's like it's been slow. You know, this pandemic's put all the domestic shows on hold.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to get a fight in August last year, and that was an incredible experience. Because of that whole drive-through, the drive-through show, it was brand new. It's like it's a fight to remember.
Tell us about that just before we go, mate. Those drive. Okay. What was for people who don't know, like, what's the premise of the drive-through shows, and
well,
like, what was it like?
Basically, so before the whole pandemic kicked off, I was due to fly out with it's a crazy story, to be honest. So Contenders were taking a UK team to fight in Florida. I know they still want to put it on, but that was scheduled for April last year. I was on the Team UK along with teammates such as Alex Montanaghi, Giroux Shepherd. Do you know what I mean? And we were at the show on February. We signed this contracts, a big celebration, and we was all heading there, and it was big. So the pandemic put an end to that. And Contenders, do you know what I mean? Like, the pandemic's kicked everyone in the teeth, you know, and but it was a big ambitious project that Contenders were doing. So what do? Do they wait until the government says you can do this and that? But no, they were like quite defiant, and they did the only way they could see to do a show was a drive-through MMA show. And what was quite special about it actually is its history. They were the first sporting event back that had a crowd in attendance. So I think that could have been worldwide, but it might have been worldwide actually. But it was definitely the first show in the UK that had any crowd attending their shows, because the first sports back was football, because people need football, and you got to distract the masses with something, right? But they don't watch MMA as much. But so we had football back, no crowds, and then the first MMA show, crowds. So it was crazy. It was banking a lot on the weather, and it was a beautiful day. Fighting outdoors was quite an experience. My opponent has actually put the fight up on YouTube if you want to watch it. It's a loss for me, but it's really a win because it's epic. So it was a mad experience.
Who was your opponent? Because what I'll do is I'll put a link to it in the description.
Stefano Catacoli. Contenders haven't published the official footage yet. You can watch it on Fight TV. So if people really want to see the fight, go on Fight TV, or just type it in on YouTube. You'll find it. But but basically he hits me with one hell of a knee. I'm kind of the co-main event, so it's nighttime by the time we're in there. Yeah, I get rocked with this humongous knee. It takes me off my feet, and then I nearly cinch up an armbar. He comes into my guard trying to finish with ground and pound, and I'm really quick with my hips and my jiu-jitsu. So I saved my skin with just like superior jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm honest, I believe I'm the much better fighter, but not on that day. He was the better fighter on that day, and he won. But my striking's better, my grappling's better. I truly believe that. And on the day, he's the deserved winner. But yeah, it's mad. So he takes me off my feet with this knee, and it's the first time we've ever done a drive-through show. So I'm proper rocked, and all I can hear is just car horns. Everyone going doop doop doop, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? Do you know what I mean? Because it's pitch black.
Yeah,
it's just car lights everywhere, and I'm rocked, and I'm thinking, am I in a road? Is there a car coming to hit me? So yeah, Jesus. It was incredible. It was one hell of an experience. So yeah, so it started off was supposed to be fighting in Florida. Pandemic happens, and then we're fighting in basically a giant car meet in Norwich. So yeah, it's a loss, but it was an incredible event. Happy to be a part of it. And since that fight, I've been wanting to get back to it. There was a lot of recovery was needed because I took a big shot. So it's probably good that I couldn't get on any other shows. I don't want to sign with Cage Warriors, and Cage Warriors have been the only UK show putting shows on. But I mentioned a bit about this last week, and it's not doing my brother favours, so I ain't signing there. And it's exciting now that all the shows should be opening up, and hopefully come June the government sticks to the word and we can start doing things again. and then I'll be back in there in August. So yeah, excited.
Like it, mate. Exciting times.
I've worked on a lot of
times.
things, so it's going to be an exciting fight.
Yeah, I think now that everything's coming back to normal, it's getting a bit exciting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
ready to go. But so I've just had a text back from our guest next week, so I can announce it. Next week, me and Danny will be joined by UFC's fighter Rhys McKee, which is going to be a good one.
Wicked.
And
what happened with Rhys? Is he still signed?
yeah, I think so. As far as I know.
Yeah, because I saw some. You see so much crap on social media, and you don't know what's fake news and what's not. But yeah, that's wicked.
Yeah, I look forward to having a chat with him.
Tuning in for that. Yeah,
it's going to be a good one, and because there's no fight card or anything to talk about, we'll have a good old chin wag and get some of Rhys's talk about his career and stuff. So if you've got any questions for Rhys, you can send them to us at the usual place, either any of our social media platforms or in the comments on YouTube, or email us, whatever you want to do. But send your questions in if you wish. Richard, as ever, thank you. But most of all, mate, thank you for stepping in for Danny as he's swanning around the world.
Yeah,
he's lazy. And he could have joined.
Si, I'll do it for you, but not for Danny. All right.
Well, that's it, mate. The thing is, mate, right? What it comes down to is Danny could have done this show with us tonight. He could, there's internet. He could have done it from America, but he's too busy eating.
Eating and sleeping. Yeah.
Mate.
Terrible.
So, there we go. Right. Cheers, mate. Appreciate
so
it.
Much. I'll see you soon.
Doubt we'll see you soon. Take it easy, my friend.
Awesome. Bye.
Defending champion, welcome, Danny Batten.
You're listening to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the hottest new podcast network and YouTube channel in the UK, featuring original series, top guests, expert analysts, and more. Check out facebook.com/AceCast Nation for news on latest guests and shows. Watch every show in full at youtube.com/ACE Podcast Nation.